is New Vision, and also today's New Vision, they bring you Princess Anne in Uganda for 4 days. UK's Princess Anne was seen being taken on a guided tour of the Medical Research Council facilities by Professor Pontiano Kalebu, the director of Uganda Virus Research Institute at Entebbe. Princess Anne is in Uganda for a 4-day visit. This included she was going to visit the School of the Deaf that caught fire. It's a double tragedy to these children, blind and then they encounter fire. It's very disastrous. May their souls rest in eternal peace. Moving on, TESO, persons with disabilities want better buildings. People with disabilities in TESO sub-region say they cannot easily access most of the buildings in the area. Today's New Vision also brings you Mati Sunak's wealthy wife. Remember, Rishi Sunak is now the UK Prime Minister, and in today's New Vision, they bring you his wife. She's one of the wealthiest women in the United Kingdom. Details are in today's New Vision. SESE flies back. 12 districts hit in Uganda. Get yourself a copy and see which ones are affected by SESE flies and thereafter sleeping sickness. And then Museveni calls Naduli over son's death. And also today's New Vision brings you a bright curriculum, S1 physics, biology, Swahili, and many others. Get yourself a copy and see how you can get yourself details of those stories. And we go to the Daily Monitor. 11 blind pupils die in school fire. They bring you how the fire at School of the Blind started. Horror survivors, what they went through. It's all in today's Daily Monitor. They bring you the brave 13-year-old who died while saving her colleagues in the School of the Blind. They also bring you a UK royal family members who are set to visit the School of the Blind this week. It's a special coverage in today's Daily Monitor on page 2, 3, and 4. Today's Daily Monitor also brings you residents raid Gulu Archdiocese Cassava Garden, and they also bring you a report on Ebola. Government is looking for 300 Ebola contacts in Greater Kampala. Make sure you stay safe, observe the standard operating procedures, maintain distance, don't shake hands. Remember, this virus is contagious and it has no cure as yet. We have to just be cautious. They also bring you Excel in PLE exam questions, answers from the best teachers. They bring you a section of homes, African heritage, and many more stories in today's Daily Monitor. Because of time, allow me to take you into the international news update. We'll start with what's happening in Africa. The chairman of the African Union Commission has welcomed the fact that the Ethiopian government and Tigrayan forces have entered into talks aimed at ending the war that has devastated Ethiopia's northern Tigray region. Musa Faki said he was encouraged by the early demonstration of a commitment to peace in the talks being held in South Africa. The AU appointed mediators are the former president of Nigeria and Kenya, Olusegun Obasanjo and Uhuru Kenyatta respectively, and South Africa's former deputy president Phumzile Mlambo Ngcuka. The UN, the US, and the East African regional body IGAD had observed status at the talks, and Mr. Faki confirmed the report. Moving on, world leaders are set to discuss action to tackle climate change at the UN Climate Summit in Egypt. It follows a year of climate-related disasters and broken temperature records. UN climate summits are held every year for governments to agree steps to limit global temperatures that keep on rising. They are referred to COPs, which stands for Conference of the Parties, and the parties are the attending countries that signed up to the original UN climate agreement in 1992. COP27 is the 27th annual UN meeting on climate. It will take place in Sharm el-Sheikh from 6th to the 18th of November. Still on climate change, it's severely impacting people's health around the world, according to a report by a leading medical publication. The Lancet Countdown report says the world's continued reliance on fossil fuels increases the risk of food insecurity, infectious disease, and heat-related illness. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres responded that global leaders must match action to the size of the problem. Leaders will meet for the major climate conference COP27 in Egypt next month. And in Italy, their new far-right leader, Giorgia Meloni, has used her maiden speech to members of parliament to stress her aim to halt migrant boats crossing into the Mediterranean. For years, Italy has been a hub for irregular migrants heading for Europe. More than 77,000 have made the highly dangerous crossing to Italy this year, putting the pressure on local communities. Ms. Meloni, who is 45 years old, leads the Brothers of Italy party and has come to power at the head of a right-wing coalition. In Germany, Chancellor Olaf Scholz and France's Emmanuel Macron will no doubt be all smiles when they meet in Paris to talk future cooperation in Europe. Behind the bonhomie, both sides know the EU's central relationship is under strain as rarely before. On a host of subjects, defense, energy, aid to business, EU expansion, the two countries today find themselves pulling in opposite direction. Underlying everything is a fear fast becoming an obsession in Paris. The French concern is that the war in Ukraine has ripped up Europe's geostrategic rule book, leaving Germany enhanced and pushing France to the West's sidelines. In the UK, Rishi Sunak has appointed his team of top ministers on his first day as UK's Prime Minister. In a key speech outside Number 10, he said he wanted to bring the country and party together, promising economic stability and confidence. The cabinet reshuffle saw some predictable choices and some that have surprised members of parliament. And in the United States, finally, a group of left-wing Democrats in the U.S. Congress has withdrawn a letter that called for a negotiated settlement to the war in Ukraine. The Progressive Caucus said the message was being misconstrued as aligned with a growing reluctance in the Republican Party to keep sending aid to Kyiv. The memo sparked intra-party backlash before U.S. midterm elections next month. The letter to the White House was made public on Monday and was signed in June by 30 of President Joe Biden's fellow Democrats in the House of Representatives. Well, that brings us to the end of this morning's news update. Thanks for watching Channel 44. I remind you of the Karamoja cry. We are offering a permanent solution to the hunger situation in Karamoja. We are planting, we are plowing, and we are producing for the people of Karamoja. So far, a big portion of land has been plowed and planted, and we are beginning to see the plants growing thanks to you, dear partners. Great as there is still a big land to plow, please join us once again by sowing your seed to the numbers that will be available during the services, or you can bring your contribution or your seed to the Miracle Center Cathedral in the services every evening. We are having revival services, and today is Wednesday. Our midweek service is on. There is going to be healing. Come and join us once again. The Pastors Now program is up next. God bless you and enjoy Channel 44.